Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Exceptional People. My original thought for this episode was to dig into the idea of chasing the unmeasurable in education, as a pursuit, as a positive, as an outcome. We all talk about chasing simplicity, chasing joy, chasing hope, and to me, those all feel like worthy, even noble pursuits. But the word unmeasurable, it just didn't seem to quite sit in the same place. It didn't seem to vibe the same way. The more I prepared for this episode, the more I kept running into the same wall, that measurable, the opposite of unmeasurable, often feels like it runs counter to how I and many others propose that we approach certain parts of our work. On the surface, it seems simple. There are things that are measurable and things that aren't. I'm careful about how I plan my diet and exercise because I know eventually I'm going to be at the doctor, taking measurements that directly inform my health. That's measurable. I get it. I know what we're doing and why. It's prescribed. The outcomes are clear, and the variables are minimal. But how much ice cream is too much in that same plan? That's immeasurable. There are way too many variables: body type, metabolism, activity level, emotional state at the time of consumption, and of course, whether you're eating the right kind of ice cream, like mint chocolate chip or that ridiculous, overly fruity stuff. Too many variables. So the more I thought about it, the more I realized I think this might be where we get ourselves in trouble in education. We get stuck in this trap. I use a lot of analogy and metaphor. Hopefully most of them land. So here's this one. Selfish driving. I've noticed, and maybe you have too, an increase in selfish, dangerous driving in recent years. Friends and family agree, coworkers agree. Great. Let's measure it. Let's pull some highway safety data and crash reports. There's a million variables that go into highway safety data and crash reports. We'll never figure that out. Okay, so let's look at cell phone usage, speed tracking, time of day travel. Fine. Let's go right to the people. Let's go qualitative. Let's interview 100 people. Excuse me, are you the one who thinks it's appropriate to text LOL going 65 miles an hour? I don't think you're going to get very valid data, and it certainly is not going to get us any closer to the real answer. You see, I can convince a room full of people that those data points measure selfish driving, but it still doesn't get me to the truth. It doesn't get me to why I'm actually trying to understand. And I wonder if we're doing the same things to ourselves in education. Like, take social emotional health, take relationships. Nobody questions their importance in a school building. There's a mountain of evidence behind them. But how do you really measure the nuances and dynamics of those relationships between teachers, students, colleagues, administrators? What about adaptability and professional judgment? I don't mean just in diverse pedagogy. I mean in those real-time decisions. The subtle, instinctive responses to shifts in atmosphere, behavioral changes, emotional energy, growing angst and resistance around the work. I'm willing to bet that under scrutiny, most of our walkthrough tools and observation instruments don't reflect the full complexity of those dynamics. So here's where I'm landing. I think chasing the unmeasurable is honestly a little fruitless. It could even get in the way. But maybe the point isn't to chase it. Maybe the point is to understand it. To understand why these critical elements of school culture and human connection are so difficult to measure. To recognize the millions of variables at play. And from that place, that deeper understanding, we might finally start to work with the system rather than around it, to move through the rigid criteria and quantification without losing the heart and soul of our work. Thanks for listening, guys. Love yourselves, love the ones who love you, and love the ones who don't.